Assalamu alaikum, Hamza. It's absolutely wonderful to have you in Chester. Thanks for coming down and taking the time to get me to ask you a few questions.
Wa alaikum salam. It's a pleasure. I look forward to our chat.
Alhamdulillah. I suppose one of the first things I'm going to ask you is probably what every person that's interviewed you has asked you, and every person is probably going to continue asking you regarding your journey into boxing. And I know we've heard some, versions of that from you. But I suppose we just want to hear it again, really. How did you get into boxing? What made you get into boxing?
See, that's a very long story. But from the beginning, my dad was a kickboxer back in his day.
Mashallah.
Before I was even born. He kickboxed. Unfortunately, he got injured. He had to retire. But the memories still stayed in the house. The bags were there. He still used to train. His VHS tapes of his fights were still there, going back a long way.
Yeah.
And like every son, he wants to be like his dad. So everything my dad done, I used to copy him. So I'd peek and see him training. Then I'd go on the bag and start punching the bag. There's a video of me actually punching the bag when I was, I think, when I was a 1 year old.
Wow.
So that's when my love for boxing started. Time went on. I started playing Fight Night on the PS3.
What is Fight Night on the PS3?
Well, Fight Night is it's a game series that's gone on a long time.
Right.
Yeah, from before my time.
So it's one of the old retro games that you're playing.
Yeah, old.
Yeah,
not obviously not that old.
Yeah.
I'm 22 years old, but pretty old. We're going back a long way now. Playing the video games, watching boxing with my dad late night, and that's where the love grew really. And I was begging my dad to take me to the gym, but with the injury that he got and what he suffered in the game, I don't think he wanted me to do it.
Yeah.
It took a long time for me to convince him, but I finally convinced him, and he took me to the gym for the first time, and that's where he saw the talent that was hidden all that time, and that was good.
So obviously you've gone into you started training and just boxing from early on, not martial arts. So you didn't pick that route of fighting. You picked the boxing in a ring sort of route of fighting. What was the decision what made you have that decision? Did you want to do martial arts, or did you want to do boxing more?
To be honest with you, my dad obviously was a kickboxer, so he'd probably be more comfortable because that's his field. Yeah. But to put it straight, I can't even touch my toes. So there was no chance you were going to get me in a kickboxing fight trying to throw kicks. Yeah. I was always gifted with my hands. Not that I advocate it, but I was good at punching people in school. Yeah. Not that I advocate it.
No, we don't advocate that.
We don't advocate
punching people in school. Unless they're a bully.
But I was good at it. Yeah. So if I was ever going to fight, that was the way really, and I was just good at it at the end of the day. And if you're good at something, I think you should pursue it in a legal way.
Well, yes, and that's a smart way to pursue it, is in a legal way, and in a way that pays as well. You're with Matchroom, right? Probably one of the biggest boxing promoters in the world. I mean, these guys have. Some people aren't probably going to like me saying this, but these guys have taken boxing to Saudi. I know people have known of boxing in Saudi, but in a way where there's promotions happening there, there's big fights happening there. And what was it like when you got signed up, when you got Matchroom approaching you and wanting you on their team?
Of course, it was a massive honor. Yeah. I've watched Eddie Hearn and Matchroom boxing. I've watched these on the TV since I was like a little kid. Yeah. Didn't even imagine that I could be boxing under that platform, and them wanting to sign me, not even me them coming to me. And
that's right, because they came to you.
Yeah, they came to me because I was on Team GB at the time, preparing for the Olympics. They came to me, so it was an honor, of course. But at the same time, I knew I deserved it. I'd won so many titles, won so many fights. I just felt it was my destiny. Yeah. And as much as I was excited, I was ready for the challenge, and I love a challenge. And to be just a normal kid to get something like that. Yeah, it was a privilege, but I'm going to make sure. No,
alhamdulillah. And I know it wasn't just, Matchroom. I mean, Warren was after you as well. Correct. And, that's not, a small promoter. He's obviously one of the best in the world as well.
Correct.
That feeling must have been quite overwhelming. All of a sudden having two of the biggest promoters in the world, most recognized promoters, in the world, in the game of boxing, at such a high level as well. To then, what made you go with Matchroom and not Warren?
Yeah, I mean, I was only 19 at the time.
Right.
So to be a kid, to have all these big promoters chasing after your signature, it was almost like being a kid in a sweet shop. Yeah. It's like all my dreams are coming true. Yeah. But I knew at the same time, this is a very important decision in my career, and it can all go right or it could all go wrong.
Yeah.
And we had discussions, me and my dad, obviously dad's head coach, we got coach, we had all the team. We all gathered and we made a decision, and we said Matchroom was the right one for me, for my career. My goals to be a world champion, a multiple weight world champion, to be the very best. Inshallah, that'll happen. And I think Matchroom was the right path to go with. So I went with it. And so far, alhamdulillah, it's been the right decision.
Yeah, and I think it was a good strategic decision. I think it really was a good decision in that. What's the dark side of boxing? You know, because we see all the glitz and the glamour, but it's a tough industry, you know. There must be some sides that we don't see of boxing. Can you tell us anything about the?
Definitely, definitely. I think boxing as a sport is probably more dark than light.
Yeah.
You see, obviously, the glitz, the glamour, the fame and the money and, the cars and the watches, but, beneath all of that, it's a tough game.
Is it quite political?
It's very political. We're not going to go too much into the politics.
No, of course,
but, we know the politics are there in boxing, and at the end of the day, it's a short career.
Yeah.
You have to go in there and do what's best for you.
What would you say the span, what would you say, sorry, that was the correct word is, what would you say the length is of a boxer? Was it 10 years or 15? What do you think It
all depends. It all depends on the boxer, what their style is, how they're built as a person. I think mainly lifestyle. Alhamdulillah, I'm a Muslim, I don't drink, I don't smoke. So, inshallah, that should extend my career a lot longer than a few others.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fighters that we've seen,
They like to enjoy themselves.
They like to enjoy themselves,
And I suppose, you need discipline. I always say you definitely need discipline. And I remember, I can't remember who it was. It was some famous coach. It wasn't your dad, it was another famous coach. And he was saying, I love the Muslim fighters. They don't drink. They're disciplined. Everything that I'm scared of my fighters doing, these guys are naturally like this. So obviously, that definitely goes a long way and gives you a lot of longevity and it gives you an edge as well.
Exactly, for sure. Not just, the lifestyle, of course, helps with the longevity of your body, physically, mentally, of course. But at the same time, it gives you a drive. It gives you a motivation that's different from others. Nobody has the motivation that we have. We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're not just fighting for money like most people are. We're fighting because we're representing our faith. That's right. Representing our people. Yeah. And when you have that strength, when you have the prayers of the people, it gives you a different strength that you can't train for. And I think that's one of my secrets as to why I'm beating everyone up. Yeah.
You need a bigger purpose, and you are beating them up. You're beating them up quite easily. And actually, on that subject, I've only ever seen one other fighter that doesn't put a guard up, and just recently I've heard one of the interviews with Naz when he was like, well, I don't put my guard up because I can't see. But all fighters put their guards up. And I can understand why they put their guard up, because not having your guard up and fighting is, I've not seen anybody else except for Naz and you do it. And how is it you've honed that skill so well?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it on, from an outside perspective, it looks crazy.
It looks mad,
You're getting punched in the face, and
you're literally inches away, man.
Yeah, the one thing you want to do is put your hands up, but we choose to put our hands down. It's a natural style. It's something that can't be taught. Yeah. If you try to copy it from someone, you're going to get caught out.
I think you're going to get knocked out.
You're going to get knocked out.
Well, this is why I've not tried to copy it, because I will get knocked out.
Yeah.
What about, your footwork? So, in these sort of early days, how much did you concentrate on your footwork? I mean, was that quite vital? Because you hear some coaches, don't you, saying that, it's just a footwork. I just get them to do loads of footwork. How vital do you think footwork is in boxing?
Oh, it's very important. Yeah. It's almost on par with your hands.
With the hands,
I've been lucky that my dad was a former kickboxer, so he knows all about the legs and feet. And especially with my style, you have to have fast feet. You have to be able to dart in and out of range. And that's what sets me apart from a lot of people too. It's very important. And I think...
Yeah, because you are very close to...
Yeah, exactly. You have to be close in and out.
To a lot of these. So, I mean, look, you're a highly tuned athlete. And staying as a highly tuned athlete, I'm quite bad on discipline when it comes to food, as you can clearly see. How do you sort of... I mean, I know you're burning it off, right? So you can eat and you're burning it off, but there must be some, like when you're doing camps, that's got to be quite disciplined, right? Camps, you know, I mean, give me a short sort of example of what happens in a camp. What do you have to sort of abide by?
In terms of diet is hard. Diet is one of the hardest aspects of boxing. It's very hard.
So what is it? What's your diet consist of when you're on camp? When you've got a fight coming up in a couple of months and you're in the camps, what would your diet be?
It's all clean, whole foods. I've got
no chocolate. No,
unfortunately, no. I wish.
Pizza? No pizza.
If I could, I would.
Yeah.
But I absolutely cannot. I've got the best nutritionist probably in the country. And
wow.
he said he gives me a plan on what to eat, when to eat it.
Yeah.
So I just follow the plan, but it consists of just whole foods.
Right.
You know.
And
eggs,
how long is these
chicken.
camps for? How long are these?
That can vary. Anything between 8, 10, 12 weeks.
That's a long time, you know. It's a long time.
It's a long time. And to be able to maintain that discipline all throughout that time, it's tough. It's tough, man, because I'm just a normal kid. I just want to eat cheesecakes too.
Yeah. Well, you're a normal kid that's very good at fighting.
Yeah,
you know, alhamdulillah.
I'm just really good at punching people.
Yeah, you're really good at punching
but
people.
At heart, I'm a normal kid, so of course it's hard to, you know, take that side away from me and to be focused.
And I suppose that's what I wanted to know. You know, at your age, you know, you're still a very young lad, mashallah. And, you know, you got these other boys, you know, friends and stuff around you, you know, getting kebabs and pizzas whenever they want. And, but, you know, you've got to stick to this discipline. And obviously, you know, you're working for a bigger purpose. You're on a higher purpose. But it is obviously difficult, but you do it. You do it because you have to, because, you've got a bigger calling.
Exactly. You know? It is difficult. Yeah. I'd be lying if I said it's not difficult. Yeah. I've made this easier for myself because I've done it all my life where even when I was like a 10-year-old kid, like all the kids be going out to play with their mates. Yeah. Never done that. Going out by themselves to get food, to do whatever. Never done that. So it's just my lifestyle now. But it is hard, obviously, seeing people my age do this and this, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But if you want to be great, you have to sacrifice.
You've got to. Yeah, you've got to. Yeah, you've got to. And I think you end up being happier as well. I think when you're disciplined and you're doing these things in moderation, and you know, you're doing it in a very extreme because, you know, you're doing it sort of like a race car. You know, like a race car needs to be like F1 race car needs to be finely tuned. You've got dietitians, you've got all these people around you, and that must be crazy. You know, all of a sudden, you know, from when you were young to growing up, and then, you know, having the likes of, you know, Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, you know, your manager, who's a great guy. I follow him on social media. And then you got these nutritionists. Obviously, you got your dad. You know, you got your best mate, your coach. But you've got all these people sort of like telling you and guiding you. That must be quite, you know, overwhelming in the sense that, wow, you know.
Of course, man. That's what they say. Life comes at you fast.
Yeah.
So you just blink of an eye and all of a sudden you're, you know, doing this and this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Obviously, and with all that, you have to keep humble and train 2 or 3 times a day and be prepared. So it's hard. But like I said earlier, I think faith is one thing that keeps me humble, keeps me grounded.
Yeah.
And so long as I keep myself grounded, then I'll continue to be successful.
I mean, it mustn't be easy. You must get a lot of people on social media. I'm trying to sort of word it in the most sort of simplest way, but on the nicest way. Do you get negative comments on social media? Do you get, you know, there's always a bunch of people that just like to find a fault in everything, right? And, you know, you must get that. You must get a bit of jealousy. You must get that online. I mean, I've not seen it myself with you, but do you get that? Do you get any negative comments online?
If a person doesn't have haters, he's not successful.
100%.
He's not successful. I'm sorry.
How do you deal with that?
I'm used to it. I've had it since, you'd be surprised, but I've had it since I was 10 years old.
Seriously?
You'd be surprised how people hate a young kid with confidence.
I get annoyed when I'm at Morrison's and someone gives me a bad look. You know, I don't know how I would handle all these people don't even know you. At least the person in Morrison's doesn't know me, but at least, you know, they can see me. You know, whereas a lot of these people, a lot of these haters probably, you know, they've never met you. I'm supposing they've have they not been to one of your fights? They've probably not even watched you on YouTube. They probably not even watched the whole fight on YouTube or TV, you know, and coming out with these comments. So what do you do with that? Do you say anything back, or do you let the public sort of deal with it?
I just let my results do the talking.
Yeah.
I look at it in the way that if I'm getting this sort of energy, I'm doing something right. You've got that thick skin, of course. I'm better than my dad in that sense. My dad goes mad.
Yeah.
He goes mad sometimes.
He's a kickboxer. He just probably 10 kicks in the head.
He just wants to throw some kicks, But I'm cool. I'm like, okay, that's
I think that's a martial artist attitude.
I think that's what, that's probably what it is. I'm chill. I'm a boxer. It's all good. I don't really mind it. They act like they know me from a 10-second clip.
Yeah.
You've not even met me for a minute and you think you already know who I am.
You know, the flip side of that is you must get some people that are being very positive with you, but they don't know you, but they're talking to you as if they kind of do know you. They're trying to sort of be your best mate, as if you can do something for them. You know, you see that sometimes with people who are doing really well and coming up in their careers really well. You'll get people that wouldn't have normally come out their way to speak to them, but they'll come out their way and they'll start, you must feel that sometimes come on, because I'm Hamza Uddin, if I wasn't the Hamza Uddin from TV and the guy that's knocking out all these fighters, I don't think is there any fighters left for you to knock out? Have you knocked them all out? I think you've knocked out most of them.
Whoever wants to can get him, but I don't think there's many left.
There's not many left, I don't think.
I don't know.
So that must be quite sort of annoying, would that be the right word?
It depends. I mean, sometimes...
Or cringy?
It can be sometimes. I mean, I don't mind it because I was once a little kid too.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand.
Yeah,
I kind of understand it. I mean, people who like, I sometimes don't like it when people like, they treat me almost like I'm not a human being.
Yeah.
Like I'm a character.
Yeah.
Like I'm Hamza in the boxer.
Yeah.
And I'm not a human being.
Because you're this character of TV, social media.
Yeah, of course. And I understand it because that's who I am. That's who I am. But I think if you meet me to have the decency to have a conversation rather than saying, oh, that's Hamza in the boxer, and then walk off.
I've actually been with you when that's happened. It was quite a few months ago. And I can hear, people, Hamza in the boxer, Hamza in the boxer.
I find it quite strange.
And that must be quite strange. I mean, it's wonderful.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. I mean, but it's good as well because I've got some great new links that I probably wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have been lucky enough to know you if I wasn't Hamza in the boxer. So
that's true. So the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Exactly. So.
And we're very grateful. Well, to be honest with you, it's like I was saying to your dad earlier. When I was younger, I wish there was a Hamza Uddin. We got Naz, a great boxer, phenomenal fighter, and cheeky chap. And you need to be a little bit cheeky with boxing. It's not like, it's not like baking cakes, is it? And that's sort of like, I was probably in early 20s or late teens when Naz sort of hit the thing. Before that, it was, there wasn't really Asian boxers. I would have loved it if, when I was 10, 12, there was someone like Hamza Uddin, because that would have, I'm 99% sure, man, that would have really inspired me to go out there and think, another Bengali brothers in there, another Muslim brothers in there. And I think you're going to pave the way for a lot of young fighters. I'm looking forward to your career with immense joy, but I'm also excited about, 20 years from now, talking to you and going, see, he's because of you, this guy here, is, Jamal Uddin or whatever, you've encouraged him. Surely you must feel that. You must feel, there must be kids coming up to you going, I never thought about boxing, but now I want to box. You must get some Bengali kids coming up to you and saying that. How does that feel?
I'm lucky to be in a position to inspire people. Young kids are starting boxing because they saw Hamza Uddin do.
Yeah.
That's a surreal feeling. It's a feeling that never changes from the first time to my most previous message or someone telling me that. I'm very lucky. I think my intention is to inspire. I want to be someone that people that can relate to. Yeah. I'm not this fancy rich kid that got it easy. Nor am I the guy that was living on the street. But I'm just like a normal kid.
Yeah.
I'm just a normal kid that, had his struggles, but he pushed through, he sacrificed and he made it. And I think people can relate to that.
Yeah.
People can relate to that and they can say, if Hamza done it, I can do it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. That's why you don't see me on social media posting about, this and that, and I can do this and I'm rich. And
I'm glad you said that, actually. I was going to ask that question.
I don't do none of that. I'm still a normal guy, but a normal guy that can beat people up.
And it's quite refreshing that you don't do that, because you see that with people that aren't even boxers, pretending to be boxers nowadays. Nowadays social media guys are all of a sudden, becoming boxers and stuff, and which is quite bizarre, because it kind of takes for me, I don't want to sort of discredit anybody, but for me, it takes away kind of the respect of boxing. Because, boxers, they go to the gym, they train a lot. They're not a social media celebrity that just all of a sudden decides to box. But it's great that you're seeing it that way as well. So yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, of course. I think that's the problem. Yeah. The problem with social media is it's about looking successful rather than being successful.
Yeah.
Looking like you're working hard rather than actually working hard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem. And I wasn't raised like that.
Well, it's very hard. It's very hard to, social media is very, very easy to hide as well. I mean, we're here doing this in the studio, and we could have literally car parts, and and boxes here and all sorts going on that nobody would see.
Exactly.
We haven't, by the way, guys, professional outfit, obviously. But you know, it's very, you know, we all get deceived by social media. You know, we all get deceived by it. And I think, you know, the way you're, not on the social media platform was like, I would have probably expected you to be. Because, and I would only expect that because I'm seeing it from, you know, other fighters and other people who aren't even fighters proclaiming to be fighters. So it's probably quite refreshing, actually, to be honest with you. It is quite refreshing because I've noticed on your social media, it's your fights.
It's straight fight.
You know, it's just, here you go. Here's my last fight. The guy's on the floor.
Straight to business. That's what I'm about.
The guy's on the floor.
Straight to business.
I mean, to your dad, you know, which I find a very interesting subject to your dad. You know, he's such a nice guy and I've got to know him quite well, you know, over this, you know, last year or a couple of years. How is it having him as your coach? Because a lot of the time, boxers, the dads aren't the coaches. You know, the dad's taking him to a gym and said, here's my son, you know, teach him. And the coach is an outside person. But, you know, your coach is your dad, you know, who you've known all your life. How is that sort of relationship? How is that dynamic?
Yeah, there's father-son relationships in boxing. Most of them don't work. But alhamdulillah, me and dad's, it's worked really well
so most of them don't work. I wouldn't have known that.
Most of them don't work. Right. No, most of them don't work.
That's why I probably have not known about them.
Probably. Some of them do work. When they work, they really work. Yeah. Some of your best fighters, Floyd Mayweather's, for example, they work.
Good point.
They work, but they can really not work too.
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah, me and dad have worked. I think, I don't know why. I think it's just the way we are. Yeah. Just the way.
How do you get that balance? You know, that sort of the son, you know, the fighter, because obviously he's your coach as well. He's your head coach as well. You know, and really, he's your manager as well. Really, you know, if you think about it.
Yeah.
You know,
of course. Yeah.
It's your guide.
It's really weird finding that there's never really a balance. It's always mixing in between the two. Yeah. Me being son or fighter and dad being dad or coach. It's always a mix.
Because it's like sometimes you must think like, I don't want you to be my coach today, man. Just be my dad. And, you know,
exactly.
That must happen quite a lot. And he must obviously the same for him as well.
Nice, of course. Like, you know, we'll be eating rice and then talking about what we're doing in training next week.
And then he's like, hold on, what curry are you having there?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have that curry.
Out of cup maybe. But that's how it is. That's our daily conversations, and it's been like that for so long that even my brothers, my sisters, my mom, you know, that's just how we are. We just talk about boxing pretty much. We don't really talk about much else. We'll talk about something else. Then somehow it'll direct back to boxing.
Back to boxing, yeah.
That's the
thing, man. Listen, you know, it's better than, you know, and unfortunately you get some people and, you know, and talk about other people all the time.
Yeah.
Negativity, you know, and at least you've got a subject that's, you know, it's a healthy subject. You know, it's a healthy subject, you know.
Exactly.
And so when's your next fight?
Next fight is in May or June time.
Yeah.
May or June time. We've got Ramadan coming up.
Yeah.
So of course I'm going to observe that. Try to have no distractions. Of course I'm going to train.
Yeah.
Keep fit.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, because
for a Muslim kid, or for any young kid who fasts, what would your recommendations be in the time of Ramadan? Obviously, they won't be preparing for a fight at that time, more than likely, but what would you say to them, who's starting out, some young kids, and, you know, they obviously observe their fasts and observe their prayers. If they've got a routine that they're following every year, at Ramadan, what would you suggest that they sort of, how would they change that routine?
I think you have to find what's best for you.
Yeah.
Some people, if they want to train, you don't want to train too much in Ramadan, but if you train, you either train before iftar.
Yeah.
Or you train maybe...
Before iftar?
Yeah, do you know what? You get superpowers while you're fasting.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the spiritualness that's within you. I feel like I get superpowers while I'm fasting, so I feel really good.
Yeah.
I don't need water, I don't need food, I don't need anything. But then after iftar, I feel terrible. Like I feel like a slump.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, your body has more energy.
Yeah.
But maybe your mind's a bit down.
Yeah.
So it's a weird balance. You just have to find what's right for you. But you don't want to overdo it because it's a month of spirituality. You don't want to lose the month.
Yeah, of course.
Filling it with training, but then you lose the month. Then you wait for it next year.
And it's such a spiritual month as well. Obviously, you know, it is such a, you know, blessed month, and it's crazy because at the start of it, I'll be like, oh no, Ramadan's coming in, you know, you get a little bit worried, you know, especially someone who likes food like me. And, but then, you know, I always say to people, the last 10 days, if you ask me, could I do it the whole year? I could do.
Yeah.
And talking about training and feeling that power, you've just actually brought a memory back that I'd actually totally forgot about. I used to train at a place called, British Warrior. Your dad will probably know it. It was in Warrington. I'm going back a long time ago. And one of the times I was training there, it was Ramadan. And because I used to train when fasting as well, because I totally forgot, it actually just makes you do feel strong. And at that time, you know what, there was a bit of an incident in Warrington. So it was quite a nasty incident that happened in Warrington at the time. And I remember, you know, we had to leave the gym early, but I remember I was fasting and I couldn't get back home because all the trains had stopped, you know. So I think I had a KFC in the end, which was probably not a good thing to finish with after training, but you've really just brought this memory back of how powerful I felt when fasting and training. But I was young and a bit healthy then. I don't know if I might not feel as powerful doing it now.
You would, because the power comes from your spirit, not from your body.
True.
Because I've been fighting Ramadan before.
Yeah.
The power comes from your spirit.
Have you ever fought in Ramadan? Have you ever had to fight in Ramadan?
I've had to, as an amateur.
Like sometimes because you can't sort of change.
I've been forced to. Since I turned pro, alhamdulillah, you know, I've never been in a situation where, fair play to Eddie, Sam and Matchroom, they understand that. They're very respectful, They'll never force anyone, or even ask anyone, for that matter, to fight in Ramadan. They won't even ask.
And rightly so, It's good that they're
it's very nice, but then in the amateurs, they're not so nice. If tournaments in Ramadan, you have to. I've even fought on Eid before as well.
Wow. This was in the amateurs.
Yes, this is amateurs.
You know, the amateurs is no one really talks about the amateurs much, right?
Yeah.
But from what I know, the amateurs is tough. It's quite brutal, right?
Amateurs is tough. Yeah, it's tough, and you get paid zero.
So, you know, obviously you're not getting paid anything, and you're in these brutal fights. How much brutal would you say they are compared to, you know, now, you know, these professional fights, these Rolls Royce of fights, you know, these are the fights that you're doing now, you know, the elite level. But amateur is like, you know, roughing it out and scrapping with everybody. Would you say it's a lot more dangerous?
You know what? Now since I've turned pro, I have one fight maybe every couple months.
Yeah.
But in the amateurs, there was times where I had 10 fights in 2 weeks.
Seriously, 10 fights in 2 weeks?
10 fights in 2 weeks, so...
Wow, you're not even recovered from the first one before you...
But it just feels normal. I don't know what it is, but it's just a norm. I think that's what toughens you up.
But then alhamdulillah, you don't really get hit much, so that probably helps. That probably, you know, you're watching your fights, alhamdulillah, is refreshing. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. They are really refreshing, because I'll be honest with you, a lot of the time you watch boxing matches, they're quite boring, you know, and I'm someone like your father who's always loved the art of, you know, fighting, boxing, martial arts. But you see some of these fighters and they're just, you know, they're hugging each other or they're tapping and they're hiding away. And I understand that. That's part of the thinking. So it's refreshing to see someone come in and just, you know, just sort of like dance rings around these guys. And, you know, so these guys are, you know, look at some of these, your last fight, the chap that you fought, he's a, you know, professional fighter, you know, with a really good track record.
Yeah, exactly. These are tough fighters. But
you made him look like he just started the day before. You know, I actually thought, you know, when I was watching that fight, I was at ringside watching that fight, and I actually thought they maybe put the wrong fighter in with their foot. I don't think that guy's ever boxed before. He's not managed to do anything.
Yeah, but then ironically, he turned professional when I was only 13 years old.
Wow. So he's been professional. You know, he's had some good fights. He's had some, you know, he's embedded into professional atmosphere, you know, and you know, no, I'm not taking it away from the, you know, from the guy. You were just a way above it. And looking forward to your next fight then, I suppose.
Yeah, of course, my goal always is to entertain.
Yeah.
Boxing is.
Do you know who the next fighter is?
I don't know, and I quite frankly don't care. Whoever it is, I'm ready. We're going to train hard. We're going to prepare.
Whoever it is. What would you say to, and when I say this for Muslim lads, I don't mean, you know, I'm not excluding the Christian lads and everybody else. The reason I say Muslim lads is, you know, going back 50 years ago, Christian lads and Jewish lads and those households, they were very similar to our households. They've just progressed a little bit further than our lot have in that sense. And, you know, we're more sort of, I don't think traditional is the right word, but, we do sort of, you know, follow the book a bit more. What would you say to, you know, young Muslim kids who are thinking of getting into boxing? Is there any advice you could give to them? I mean, I mean, you've got your father as a coach. What about someone who hasn't got his father as a coach? What advice would you give him? How does he know which is the right coach to go to? How does he know which is the right gym to go to? You know,
I think the first step is always the hardest.
Yeah.
To actually get into it.
Right.
Once you get into boxing, you'll find a way. You'll find someone. You'll find a club. You'll find someone, and eventually you'll learn more about the game. But the hardest step is the first step.
Yeah.
To break past that, you know, that fear, the hesitation of, can I be a boxer? Am I good enough? You've got to make the step.
Yeah.
Once you make the first step, everything becomes easier.
Yeah.
So I think just make that step, even in life too, you know, you make the step, and once you made the step, you think, oh, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't so scary. So I think making the step first and just going for it and doing it rather than worrying about it. I've had so many people telling me, you know, I've boxed with people who are who are obviously around my age,
Yeah.
but we started when we were kids, and they stopped boxing very, very long time ago. And the vast majority of them see what I'm doing and say, oh, I wish I stayed. But
Why didn't you stay? Why didn't you stay?
Because
Why
that
didn't you
fear
do
and
it?
hesitation, oh, maybe I can't make it.
Yeah.
They lose.
You know, it's really interesting you said that, and especially at your age to realise that. You know, what you've just said there, I probably realised a lot later in life than you, through business. And I'd think, why am I scaring myself? You know, why am I scaring? It's like you talk yourself out of it.
Exactly.
You know? So for you, alhamdulillah, for a young age to know that, I think that's a massive advantage for you to realise that at this age.
100%.
Because, you know, giving up is easy, isn't it?
Of course.
Not doing it is easy. You know, there was a saying that one of my mentors told me. He said, you know, the pain of discipline just weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. You know?
That's correct.
You know, on that note, Hamza, you know, I am absolutely, you know, really looking forward to your career and your long career ahead, inshallah. And I can't wait to, you know, be at ringside watching those guys get knocked down.
That's right.
Maybe make it last a little bit longer.
Don't get paid overtime. I want to have my cheesecakes.
You know, that's true. And I'm really looking forward to the people that you're going to inspire. And I'm looking forward to the future fighters that are gonna, you know, that we're all gonna know because of Hamza Uddin, you know, and his dad, and his dad, Rajbhai, you know.
That's right.
Absolute legend of a guy. I need to get Rajbhai on this hot seat interview. Dad doesn't like doing many interviews, does he? He stays away from the camera.
I think you can pull him on.
Huh? Do you reckon we can get him on? Okay, we're gonna try and get him on after you. But thank you so much. Absolute wonderful.